Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles, and it's the good, the bad and the ugly again. We're kicking off the first replay in this lineup with Splofy. He plays on the North American server. He's here in his IS. It's a tier 7 Russian heavy tank. It's a very strong tank. I remember when I first reached tier 7 and I got my hands on the Tiger, I was so excited, and I soon learned to be terrified of these tanks. Not because they were especially good against Tigers, but because I just didn't have a clue how to drive a Tiger against these things. And funny thing about the North American server, and I keep seeing this on North American servers here on the North American server games, here on the Pearl River map, that you just don't see very often on the EU server, in that people do not like brawling in this valley. And this is the first time I've ever seen people try to set up an ambush position on this side. And originally, that looked like that's what Splofy was going to do, but the rest of the team aren't having any of it. And what it looks like has happened on the enemy side is that they've had a difference of opinion. Oh, our AT7, by the way, seriously needs to shut the hell up. You got a bunch. You see, if the enemy team had worked together, but you know, World of Tanks, they've got 2 or 3 tanks have rushed. Well, they're not exactly rushed. It looks like they did it a bit, couldn't make their minds up whether or not they wanted to come through here, and now they're paying the price for it. Because there's only the 2 or 3 of them. Took a hit from Artie there, as well as that IS. But it looks like there's only the 2 or 3 of them have come through here, and the rest of their team is camping hard on the other side of the bridge. So they've split their forces, and they're not concentrating their firepower. And there's, you know, that's one thing that's it's true in real warfare, and it's true in World of Tanks as well. It doesn't really matter so much whether or not you're doing the wrong thing, as long as you all do the wrong thing together. What's guaranteed to lead to failure, as you're going to see here, is if some of you do the right thing and some of you refuse to back up the guys doing the right thing and just do the wrong thing, or vice versa. You know, if you're going to do it wrong, at least do it wrong together. You stand more of a chance, because the enemy team isn't necessarily going to be doing the right thing either. Now, Splofy's taken a couple of hits here. And the IS does not carry a lot of ammunition. KV-3's been forced to back off. They've lost their IS. KV-3's taken monstrous amount of damage. They've managed to kill one AT7. Sadly, it didn't even shut him up. Now, rather than chase that VK around into where the rest of the team are lying in ambush after sacrificing 2 of their tier 7 heavies for nothing, Splofy is going back because, you know, look at the map. There's an enemy T-43 is running riot around our rear area and is probably not going to cap, but could be coming around to try to get some shots from behind and encircle the guys in the valley. There he is. Very long aiming time on the IS's gun. T-43 fired, missed, and he's setting on fire. Shot must have gone right through the front hatch, straight into the engine. Probably killing some of the crew on the way. T-43 isn't even aiming at him, going for the artillery kill. Splofy takes advantage of that, finishes him. And yep, most of the enemy team lying in ambush on the far side of the bridge through the brawling valley. splitting their forces. Sending the heavy tanks off to their doom, not backing them up. You know, that's the thing. You either go through the valley and fight, or you ambush. You don't try to do both. Now, there's only 4 of them left, and 2 of them are artillery. The enemy team have 5 artillery, 2 tier 7s, and a tier 5. We've got 1 less artillery now. Now Splofy does some good driving here. He does not want to let that SU-152 get round behind him, but there's the 3001H. He took a hit, he backed off, he's come back into the valley to counterattack, and Splofy really could have used a good hit there. But he's got to keep moving. You can't let that SU-152 shoot him in the rear. And this is some good driving here. He's not, notice he's not even pointing, he's watching the SU-152 and manages to steer perfectly between the wreck of those 2 tanks. Artie is desperately trying to kill him. And there's a bit of good luck and a bit of bad luck here. The SU-152 fires and misses. He fires and bounces off the SU-152's gun mantlet, but the SU-152 is using the howitzer. So he is going to reload before he does. Artillery fires and misses him again. He's only got 2 rounds of AP ammo left. After this, he's using premium. There's the M41. He fires, he hits the wreck of the tank in front of him. Splofy can take his time now. And suddenly, it's not looking so bad. He's got a top gun. T-43 on the other flank has done really well as well. He's got 4 kills. And there's a Gorilla who's just fired. And this is funny. Look at him. Go on, son. Angle your armour. Angle. He's trying to angle his armour. And you know what? I can laugh about it, but it worked. The shot went into his tracks. Oh, where did he go? Where did he go? He's still angling. Bless him. Angle that armor, bitch. Angle it. And Splofy's down to using his premium ammo now. But they only have 1 M37 left. Can he get the Dimitri's medal? 4 artillery kills? Come on, Splofy. You can do it. What a comeback. And he's going to get himself some capture points. The M37's fired and missed. And Splofy makes sure that one goes in. And there's a Dimitri's medal. And that's not all. That was his Master Tanker badge, and rightfully so. He also got himself a Radley Walters. There's the Dimitri's for killing 4 artillery. Top gun, obviously, and sniper. That wasn't even his first win of the day. Came out of that with 2,304 experience and 73, nearly 74,000 credits. 18 shots fired, 18 hits, 16 penetrations, 4,466 damage done. Hell of a game. Well played. So, this is Metro Giuldenta. I'm just going to call him Metro for the rest of the video. He's in his AT2, British Tier 5 tank destroyer. Now this is a Tier 5 game on Swamp. And the AT2 is a very, very strong machine in a Tier 5 game because of the ridiculous amount of armour that it has. More than 200mm at the front, 100 at the sides, and the rear. Of course it has awful mobility, it's very slow, it has bad view range, the gun isn't very good, but the gun's good enough in a Tier 5 game, and you've got 200mm of armour at the front. Now, this game was very short, was very brutal, and was very to the point. And just watch how this enemy team throws away a huge numerical advantage trying to kill this AT2. we've got a T-28 over on the right who's about to run into two Stugs and have a very, very bad day. Or is it a Stug and a T-82? Yeah. Well, possibly it is two Stugs and a T-82. Either way, his adventure, if you can see him on the map there, is about to come to a very sticky conclusion. And the thing about driving an AT2 in a Tier 5 game like this is that, with a couple of exceptions, notably things like the old flak bus there, and this is where it all starts going badly wrong. They're now losing 2-5. But you can pretty much just shrug off all of this incoming fire. Look at this. Now he sees the T-82 and the Stug up on that side, and he figures his best chance is to get into some of the low ground over here and let his teammates deal with them. As you can see, there you go. And now he's gotten up here, he's effectively below the firing arc of that Stug 3. And of course the majority of the enemy team, possibly a third of them or more, are all camping the ridge over the enemy base. And they've killed one of them. Our artillery's nailed a Stug. But he's taken no damage, and he's sitting there going, choo choo! And there they are. Now the artillery's getting in on the act as well. Enemy M37 spotted over there to the left, to the right, sorry. There's an M41 up there. The T40 is Stuart. God alone knows what else. And they're losing 5-8. But watch how quickly things change. And this M3 Stuart suddenly thinks, right, screw it, no guts, no glory. Artie just misses him there again. And the M3 Stuart decides he's going to cliff dive. So Metro says, alright, stops, reverses. Damn. And now they're all doing it. The M41 kills himself. Putting a point-blank range shot. The M3 Lee is stuck behind the T40 and cannot fire. So he just casually backs up and starts. Look at this. It's raining tanks. Kills the T-40. And the Lee is completely stuck, and with the wreck of the T-40 he can't even point his gun at him. And look at that. That's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 enemy tanks, plus the 2 that were killed up on the ridge. 7 of them died trying to kill 1 AT2. Just awesome. Unsurprisingly, that was a win. Metro took 41 hits in that game. 5,000 potential damage for a machine that only has 450 health. That was just epic. You know, I keep thinking I've seen the dumbest things possible in a game of World of Tanks, and then you guys just keep surprising me with the rank stupidity and incompetence that you keep showing me from your teams in these replays. This is Dr. Papa Penguin. Now, he's alone in a TOG 2 in a Tier 6 game, and that's not a happy place for a TOG to be in. Especially when the Cromwell sitting behind you is just retarded. But the Cromwell is not alone. Not by far. There's a T-34-85 on the enemy team who's a much better team killer than the idiot in the Cromwell. He's already killed one of their T-34s. And Papa Penguin is being philosophical about it. Well, yeah, fine. He's taken a quarter of my health off, but he's the one who'll be paying the damages. They deal with the team killer. The T-34-85 in the enemy team strikes again before their T-150 manages to put him down. The scores are now -1, -3, and we only just spotted our first enemy tank. So this game had all the hallmarks of being an epic fail right from the start. But believe me, you ain't seen nothing yet. Now, Dr. Papa Penguin is, of course, driving a TOG alone in a Tier 6 game, and lonely TOGs are not happy TOGs. TOGs are fantastic tanks if you're in a platoon of 3 of them. TOGs fighting alone are very sad. So this game isn't so much about Dr. Papa Penguin as about the colossal rank ineptitude of, well, both sides in this match. Now that enemy SG-100 gives Papa Penguin a lot of problems. Now if you look at the map and look to the south, you can see that the only thing we have guarding the obvious heavy tank assault route is a lone BDR G1B. And the BDR isn't a bad tank, but he's going up against an M6 and a KV-1S with very, very little support. And this SG-100 has been having a very, very good game, reducing Papa Penguin's health down to next to nothing. Churchill gun carrier is dead. SG-100 takes the opportunity, while Papa Penguin's in cover of nailing him. And then suddenly a wild AMX-40 appears. You know, the thing about the AMX-40 is that the armour is spectacularly trollish. As you can see, he's bounced multiple shots here, but you have so little health in the AMX-40 that they only really have to get lucky once. And there, SG-100's killed him. Papa Penguin gets his first kill, but things are looking really bad down the south. However, the team as a whole is doing alright. The scores are up to 5-1 and 5-2. Unfortunately, that ARL back at the base hasn't done an awful lot. And that BDR he's fought a hell of a game against 2 superior heavy tanks. But he's down to critically low health. He gets another hit in on the KV-1S and then he goes down. So he did a really good job over there. Of course, Papa Penguin knows that he's next. So initially he was going to try to back up to get into better cover, but that's just not going to happen in the TOG. Too slow. So he digs in, prepares to sell his life dearly. And if it can just reload... Well, he kills the M6, but then the KV-1S finishes him off. But the KV-1S is going to have to get through that ARL-44 before he can get near the base, and we are capping. T-34 firmly sitting there in the cap circle. Other tanks driving through the cap circle, adding to the timer, but they're not stopping. And the team seem, at this point, to be setting up a defence against an enemy counterattack from the Churchill and the SG-100, while the T-34 caps. And that does look to be exactly what they're doing. The cap counter gets up to 84, but then it resets as one guy moves out of the cap circle to take up a defensive position, and another one passes through the cap circle. You can see you've got a 3601H is also moving through. Cap gets up to 85, resets down to 70 again. The T-34 is holding in the cap circle, while these enemy tanks deal with the AFK ARL and root out the artillery. The cap gets up to 90. They've just killed the SG-100. The base is no longer under threat. Game's in the bag. 97, 98, 99, 100. Game over. I said, game over. What are you doing? Are you fucking kidding me? Why did you do that? What's the T-34 doing? What just... You have... No. No. You tell me you really did not do that. So the 2 VKs have got to... Oh my god. You wait until the enemy cap is at 30%, and then you abandon the cap to drive all the way across the map? You know, if that T-34 driver was deliberately trolling, he couldn't have done a better job. I want to believe that he is not that stupid and he just did it to troll his team, because if that wasn't an intentional troll, then it has got to be the single dumbest thing I've ever seen anybody do in a game of World of Tanks, and I've seen some shit. So Circumflex's got his hands on a Conqueror recently, and it's probably safe to say he wasn't convinced. He just hadn't had that great game in this tank yet. And this is a tank that I have never driven myself. I don't have any of the British heavy tanks other than the premiums. I've played on the test server and I thought it was alright, but that was a while ago. So here's Circumflex's driving his Conqueror in a tier 10 game on the Cliff map. And as I said, up until this point, Circumflex's hadn't really had that great game in the Conqueror, and he was still in two minds about whether or not he really liked this tank. So let's see what he can do. They've got two IS-7s, a T110E5, an E75, ridiculously strong tier 9 heavy tank, M103, it's fully upgraded, it's got a fantastic gun, same gun as the T110E5. There's a pretty strong lineup on both sides. Now, he's been spotted, not sure what by. There is only one artillery in play on this game. It's probably that WZ-120 up there who saw him. But the artillery is a batch out 155-55. It's an autoloader artillery. Very, very dangerous. Now, I have to admit, it is not often I see tier 9 heavy tanks climbing this hill up to this position. But it looks like the Conqueror has enough gun depression to the side to pull this off. Unfortunately, other than killing their AMX 1390, the team ain't doing too well. We've lost an E50, a T44 and one of our own AMX 1390s. The enemy team have definitely got the upper hand here. As far as positioning goes, it's not good either. The enemy have got almost total control of this plateau, with really only Circumflexes being... That was a good shot. Only Circon up here really being in a position to do anything about the team's dominance of this side of the map. And they've just lost a T30. And artillery has just gotten interested in Circon's position. You see a shot just went in there. WZ-11114 just came around, took a shot, missed. Circon's now done 2,300 damage. He knows he's going to reload his gun before that guy. Looks like the WZ-120 took an opportunity shot. Went through the side of his turret. Didn't do that much damage. Took a bounce. Puts another one into the WZ-111, who... Oh, IS-7's coming around. But that guy's tracked, and he can just keep doing this over and over and over. But they're all coming round for him now. IS-7's been set on fire. And our IS-8 just will not shut up. Circon gets his first kill. There was absolutely nothing that WZ-11 could do. He refused to use a repair kit to get his tracks back up, and Circon just came up shooting him in the same spot over and over and over. He's now done 4,159 damage to the enemy team, and he's only taken one penetrating hit in return. He's still in a useful spot because there are still enemy tanks. Well, One less now. Nailed the T-44. Still enemy tanks trying to push around that mountain. But it looks like he's just dealt with the last one. And now his team move up to help support him. And things have definitely swung in their favour. They're now winning 6-5. But Sircon's thirsty for more kills. He wants that IS-7. There's another 366 damage. Could still go either way. Scores are 8-7. Their Rheinmetall Borsig finished off. Oh, what a shot. This is looking good now. T110E5's on very, very low health, but there's a Rheinmetall Borsig. Oh, artillery nailed him. 10-7. There's a Rheinmetall. Yep, there it is. That was the Rheinmetall Borsig. He was angling for a shot at him, but he was just sitting here waiting for him to pop his head out. So, screw that. There's an IS-7 down there, needs killing instead. It's a very, very dodgy shot. Very dodgy shot indeed. Enemy team just would not give up. IS-7 on 41 health. Nails the M103. There's the Rheinmetall Borsig. Which way is his gun pointing? There's an ISU over there as well. Really do not want to get hit by an ISU. The Rheinmetall Borsig's probably using the 128mm gun, judging by how quickly he snapped that shot off and the relatively little amount of damage that it did. Compared to if you've been using the 150mm gun, that IS-7 is still being a pain in the ass. Sircon does not want to pop up. If he's spotted, there you go. Killed number 4. Nailed the IS-7. Now he just has to wait. Pop off the IS-7's detection. And he can start working over these enemy TDs. There's only these two left, and the enemy artillery. There's the the ISU-152 with an E-100 chasing him down. T-110E4 moving across the middle. Rheinmetall Borsig is, in fact, aiming at the E-100, which allows Sircon to get another one into him. T-110E4's closing in on him. It doesn't have much of a shot here without outcropping of rock in the way. Unless the Rheinmetall Borsig makes a mistake. And he does. And there's his 5th kill. All they have left is artillery. Now he's been spotted. But the Conqueror can get a fairly good burst of speed up, especially if it's going downhill. He's done 6,000 damage in this game. Can he get the Top Gun? Keeping his gun pot. There he is. There he is. There he is. Oh, 1 health. You've got to be joking. It was a good damage roll though, so it's you can't really complain. 6,500 damage done. Tier 9 tag, Tier 10 game. So yeah, Circumflexus quite likes his Conqueror. Can't imagine why. So we're going to finish off here with one of my own replays. This is me in, yep, I'm in a LOL tractor. Tier 1 Scout in a Tier 8 team battle game. This is the new game mode which is introduced in the latest patch in World of Tanks. This was on Quickie Baby's charity mega live stream. 12-hour live stream that he did to raise money for various different charities. He managed to raise over £15,000 during the course of the night. This was one of the games that we played during the live stream. You can see, in fact, let me just, normally I turn off the names to protect the innocent, but we've got Quickie Baby, we've got a couple of guys from the RSOP clan, Muppy, Mocky, Joku123, Ector from Wargaming, Paris's EU community manager, he's playing with us, and of course we've got Ike. Now, the reason that we use these tiny little crappy tier 1s is, as you can see, fitted with a camo net and a pair of binoculars. they don't make bad scouts. See, the enemy team are using a couple of T1s there as well. Plus, there's always somebody dumb enough to waste a shot on a tier 1 tank that would be far better used shooting at one of the tier 8s. So these little things do have their uses. Of course, I'm completely wasted as a scout in this map because Quickie Baby has gone down this side and is Carnarvon. However, now I can do some good. Instead of pushing this side, he's going up onto the plateau. Which allows me to come around here and start getting some spots in on the enemy flank. That's the plan anyway. And we've killed their 1390. Unfortunately, we've lost an IS-3. Ike's dead. And then we lose another IS-3. And suddenly things aren't looking quite so good. But what use is a tier 1 light tank, other than as a scout and a momentary distraction in a tier 8 company battle? Sorry, not a company battle, in a tier 8 team battle. We've just lost Hector, we've just lost Joku. Well, I might not be able to kill those tier 8s. But there is something I can do. Now the enemy T1, if he has any sense, he's going to come back and try to spot me and interrupt the cap. Meanwhile, there he is. Now I don't have 6th sense on my LOL tractor, so I don't know if he spotted me or not. But I'll guarantee he spotted me now. But I got him anyway. Cap's up to 58. There's just me and Mocky in his AMX 1390. Now that target 2 is 400 meters away. I know he's not going to see me even if I fire from this range. But now he's gotten to 370 meters. So now I need to stop shooting. And I'm the only one left alive. They've got a 5100, an IS-3 and a Tiger 2. And as long as I stay still and I don't shoot, they're firing blindly into the cap circle and it doesn't matter. And that's how you beat an AMX 5100, an IS-3 and a Tiger 2 when you're driving a LOL tractor. If you have a replay that you think you'd like to see featured in this compilation, then by all means submit them to the email address in the video description. It's also up on the About page of my YouTube channel. However, I should warn you that the Mighty Jingles is strictly a one-man operation, and I get thousands of emails every week. I cannot possibly read them all, let alone reply to them, so the chances of your replay being shown are very, very small, but you never know your luck. As always, folks, take care on that battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.